Live from Deathray Studios in the sunny West Valley of Phoenix, it's Late Night with the Davey. Appearing on tonight's show, YouTube content creators BRETTMAN STUART from Good Real Hunting and Dice ROLLEN. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Davey Deathray. Dice ROLLEN. Dice ROLLEN. Dice ROLLEN. Did you get enough of that dice rolling there? It looks like when I made my intro for the show, I did not. Gosh, that is the most Davey Deathray thing to do, is to not be able to launch one single show or live stream without a bunch of mistakes, right? Is that, you guys let me know in the chat, that's the most Davey Deathray thing ever to do. So when I put together my little intro in DaVinci, I just must have forgotten to eliminate my extra takes saying Dice's name, because I sit there and just make sure I get it absolutely perfect for everyone, and then find a way to mess it up when we go live. It's absolutely amazing. Well, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Deathray here. Welcome to my silly little late night talk show, Late Night with the Davey. How's everyone doing? We've got a chat room just filling up here, and there we go. Jean can't stay, but she wanted to say hi. Thank you so much for popping in, Jean. Really appreciate it. I like Big Rod's little business here. Dice is cool enough to deserve a threequel. There we go. I'm going to spin it that way. I'll just spin it. Foz, my guy Foz Rotten says, Davey is a pure professional, period. I feel like it's a little sarcastic, but I love it, Foz. It is Davey. We wouldn't expect anything less. One of these days, man, Aaron, I will get it figured out, I swear. And there we go. Dice. Yep, that's what it is, Dice. That's exactly what it is. Yes, Trish, just such a fun lineup. We have BRETTMAN once and Dice ROLLEN 3 or 4 times, however many times you guys got that. All right. Just wanted to say what's up to everyone in the chat here. We've got Raymond Malabar. What's happening? Can't wait to see Brett and Dice. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, Raymond. And this is going to be a little bit different, guys, because you know, we've been kind of playing with the format as we go along here, and we're going to bring on BRETTMAN and Dice at the same time. So we're going to do kind of a conversational interview, little Graham Norton style, maybe not as much drinking or anything like that, although who knows. I'm not sure if Brett has his shots lined up or what he's got going on back there. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one as well, Raymond. Thanks for showing up as always. Big Rod says, like sitting outside your weed dealer's house in high school, the anticipation is amazing. I think this is our first taste of the new format. I'm psyched. You're absolutely right. What's happening, Trisha? Great to see you. We got Brett popping in to say what's up to everyone as well. Eli Cortez, what's happening, Eli? Great to see you. Carbonite Dreams, hello, hello. Always good to see you, Carbonite. Let's see here. Necro Mechanimal is in the chat. What's happening, Necro? And of course, we have Tyler Adams. Late Night with the Davey. Gotta sing it to the tune of Running with the Devil. That's the only way to do it. All right. And of course, yeah, like I had said, we have Foz here. We've got Aaron Click. We've got Antonis. How are you doing, Antonis? Great to see you. Jamie Hart. What's happening, Jamie? And we've got Vanderhoff. How are you doing, Dave? Great to see you. Great to see you. We said what's up to Gene, just making sure no one else has rolled in. Woo! All right. So yeah, guys, not sure if everyone's been able to pop in and check out everything going on here at the channel lately. But you know, I am super pumped on still celebrating the Batman 89 35th anniversary. And of course, as you all know, you know, doing the crowdfunding thing for Gotham Noir. It's a Batman feature-length fan film that I'm producing and also doing some voice acting on. So I'm not sure if everyone saw the latest or heard the latest little clip, but I held off from doing you know, the voice or anything like that. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this, but I wanted to share with you the very first broadcast that they put together for my character, Jack Ryder, who, to give you an idea of who he is, you know, he's kind of like the eye in the sky for the people of Gotham. He's the newscaster. And he is, you know, he's one of these guys where it's like you can trust him, but you can't really trust him, right? You know, we live in a day and age where, you know, media types say all sorts of crazy stuff. So I wanted to bring a little bit of that back to the early 1900s, to where, you know, all of that stuff was a lot more controlled and you could just sort of be told what to think a little more directly, and there weren't as many voices out there. So that's how I kind of see Jack, as he's the guy that sort of, you know, corrals the cattle, as it were, and tries to keep everyone happy. So I just wanted to show you guys I don't know why this just cracked me up. So I, you know, what would you do if you had $1 million? 2 gifts at the same time, man. That's just how I want to read that little Office Space action. All right, yeah, I wanted to show you guys this clip really quick. Hopefully there's no nonsense like there was when I was going through XSplit this last weekend. We had all sorts of volume issues. But let's jump on over here and share this clip with you. I think that's the right one. Yeah, there we go. Okay, here we go. Enjoy, guys. I hope you dig it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gotham News Network, where we bring you the latest updates and truths you can't afford to miss. I'm your host, Jack Ryder. There have been reports coming from the Narrows of a grisly murder, but very little is known at this time. However, Gotham police are advising that citizens in that area be on the lookout and steer clear of any perceived danger. Details to follow, as this is a developing story.
Yeah, guys, so that's a little taste for you. Just of course there's a little bit of a volume issue, but hopefully everything, I was able to get it loud enough so everyone could freaking hear it. Yeah, that was really fun and something that I had never done before, like just doing, you know, actual voice acting, putting together a voice for a character, and, you know, kind of having my own little stress out about if it was sounding the way I wanted it to, and all that kind of fun stuff. But you know, there's 4 more of those that'll be coming out that sort of tease where the story's going. And you can, you know, I think another thing they're going to do is, once we start unveiling more items that you can, you know, purchase as perks through the Kickstarter, which the link will be in the description below, so you guys can check out that Kickstarter. You know, there should be more breadcrumbs that are left there as well. So yeah, really looking forward to showing that off. Tyler, did you do the visuals on that one? I know you had worked on one of the previous ones. I'm not sure if you had put together the visuals there on the radio. And then the guys over at CLP Productions, the Voss brothers, put together all the effects on the voice and everything, because I just recorded that with my setup right here at home. So yeah, guys, really exciting, you know, last couple weeks here, or I guess it's just been about a week and a half since we launched that Kickstarter. So things are going well so far. We still have a long ways to go. So if you guys haven't checked out the Kickstarter, or if you're curious to learn more, you can go to the Lux Media YouTube page and check out some of the featurettes we have there and all that kind of fun stuff. But how the heck are you guys doing? How is your Wednesday treating you, and how is the week treating you so far? Let me know in the chat below. Interested to know, guys. And yeah, we are going to be bringing on our guests here in just a moment, after we get to a couple of your chats here. Oz said I killed it. Carbonite Dream says nice. Aaron Click says cool, man. And Jamie Hart says that was awesome. Thank you so much. Super sweet, guys. Antonis says, I finally saw The Strangers Chapter 1, and I have to say I did not despise it like most horror fans. 5 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, after you hear so much negative things about a movie, it kind of lowers some of those expectations, right? You know, so it makes you, it's tough to hate it so much if everyone else is already hating on it. But you know, 5 out of 10, that's, you know, not that great. I still haven't seen any of the Strangers movies. I've heard good things about the first 2. I know there's some folks that really don't like the second one, and others that say that the second one is better than the first. So I guess I should shut up and watch those movies and see what I think. Tyler says he did model and texture the radio and did the render loop. Cool. Hell yeah. Lux added the actual waveform. Awesome, man. Well, great to work with you for the first time officially, Tyler, with our little short getting out there, our little reel. Jamie says it's been a busy week picking out new wood flooring for the living room. All right. Well, that's got to be kind of nice to fix up the house a little bit, right? Hell yeah. All right. You guys ready to bring on our guests and do the very first, I guess it's not a round table discussion with just 3 people. It's more of a triangle table discussion or something like that. Let's see here. Aaron says, you got to see the first one. Simple but effective. Okay. Excellent. Carbonite Dreams is watching all the Halloween movies that they missed. Just the 2 Rob Zombie ones to go. Well, Carbonite, I guess we'll see. I really like the second Rob Zombie Halloween movie. I'm one of those weirdos. I don't really like his remake. I said it so many times on the channel that people are probably like, shut up about it. I don't see much of a point in that remake, other than to get people who never saw a Halloween movie to like kind of catch up on the story so you can actually do a sequel. But I like his sequel. He actually got to tell a unique, different story. And maybe we can get into that a little bit with our guests here. And you know what, Raymond? I got this close to doing a trailer reaction to The Heretic because it looked kind of interesting. And for whatever reason, I just didn't do it. I still haven't seen the trailer, so I don't know anything about the movie. Let me know if you want to see me do a reaction to that, and I can shoot it right after the show here. But yeah, y'all, let's go ahead and bring in our guests. Let's see here. BRETTMAN from Good Real Hunting. Dice ROLLEN from Dice ROLLEN. I am pumped to have these 2 guests on, 2 content creators that I really enjoy here on the YouTubes. And let me just see if I can find the right frame there. There we go. I'm going to bring our folks in. Here we got Brett. And we've got Dice ROLLEN. Thank you so much for making an appearance here on Late Night. How are y'all doing?
Doing great.
We're not melting yet. It's okay.
Melting yet? Yeah.
Yet.
How hot is it out there in New Mexico, Dice?
It hasn't gotten up to 3 digits yet, thankfully, but it's still hot. And when you're on the 2nd story like I am.
Oh, yeah, brutal. How about you, Brett? It's you're out in Tennessee, right? So it's got to be
it's that southern hotness, and at one point my car rated 104, but it was like somewhere in the 90s. So like mainly, I just some rating is like the car's like your car or something's 104. I'm like, how am I not dead?
It's 105 out right now here in Goodyear. It's crazy. I don't even know. I don't know why. Why did I come here? No, I have a whole bunch of
I was like, why'd you leave Alaska?
That's why I came here. Oh, well, I would have, the thing about that is I probably never would have done very much with my life if I never left Alaska. So while I'm very happy that I had my upbringing there, it's nice to, live in a metropolitan area and get to do things, see concerts and all that kind of fun stuff. Drive places. I was living in a place that you couldn't drive out of, so it's nice to be able to drive to a different town. That's a novelty for somebody like me. But yeah, let's catch up with y'all and what you guys have going on, with your channels. And just, for anyone that doesn't know who you are in the chat, if you just kind of want to give a little, bit of a briefing about what you talk about on your channel and what you're into. Dice, you want to get things started?
Oh, sure. I'll just warm up the crowd here. Hold on. If this doesn't whet your appetite, I don't know what will. I've been, unfortunately, taking a slight break. Not intentional, but that's, I think, something a lot of people are used to with me. I just disappear for a moment, and then we're back like nothing happened. But we're getting back. I was just finishing last night a script for Brain Damage, so there's a lot of different things I have coming up. A Late Night with the Devil review, as a matter of fact. How topical. And recently, I did another episode for my Horror of Mental Health podcast. That was with James of Shut Up James. We talked about Child's Play 2. So that's some fresh content to enjoy. If you couldn't tell, I just talk about horror movies, just in general. There's no real niche other than that. Just horror.
Just horror in general. Hell yeah. I caught a little bit of that with James on Child's Play 2. I'm a big fan of Child's Play 2 and going through the series lately to do a franchise ranking. So yeah, that's really cool. Brett, what you got going on other than watching the NBA draft with high interest?
Yeah, Dalton Kincaid for the University of Tennessee going to the Lakers. Hate that because I hate the Lakers. But other than that, though, I'm the BRETTMAN, just in case if people in the chat don't know who I am. Me and my best friend Brad, we hunt for the good reels, so you do not have to. We are a movie channel, mainly on the horror side of things. And the best way to get to know us is tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. We're doing our second annual Summer/Tournament, where we'll be doing the 32 best Stephen King movies. And we will be determining what is the best Stephen King movie. And then we're going to take a hiatus next week, but we will be dropping some content of like the halfway point of 2024 with some movie rankings for horror and non-horror. And then after that, we will be starting our Nightmare on Elm Street watch party series that we are doing, as Davey knows over here, as he is going to be on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors.
Oh yeah. Well, look out for that though, Brett. People get really, really sticky on that the. There's no the, right? It's just Dream Warriors, right? I'm just giving you shit, but I know how people are.
Okay, so fine. Dream
Am I kicked off the stream
Warriors. And plus, I feel like I'm in a dream right now. I feel like I'm such in a dream. I could just pull out a shot out of anywhere, right, Davey? You told me I was supposed to take a shot. So if this was a dream, I could take a shot, right? Oh, look at that. We're in the dream.
And you've got Fireball. Oh, I just threw up in my mouth.
Are you serious? Fireball's just shit. So if you don't mind the drink, like, I'm not sure.
No, go for it. No, go for it.
All right. So late night with the Davey. Dice rolling. Davey,
yeah.
this is for you.
Rolling. I just do it. I'll just do it the whole show. You can just talk amongst yourselves. I'll just say Dice's name for the whole entirety of the show.
Becomes a candy man.
All right, there it is. You know, the last time that I drank Fireball, it did not end well, so I never went back.
Oh man, Fireball's the quickest way for me to get on the goofy side of things.
Yeah, no, it's Dice. Do you have a drink of choice?
Water.
Yeah,
that's probably what I should be drinking right now. So.
I've got water and I've got a little bit of coffee because I just am a masochist and will drink caffeine this late at night.
Well, you gotta stay professional over there, so.
I mean, it's a late night talk show. Everybody drinks coffee on late night talk shows. It's fine.
Yeah, they do.
Or is there something else than coffee?
Yeah, no, it's just coffee in there. I promise. Yeah, I always wondered that about the late night shows because they shoot them at probably like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So it's like, are they drinking the coffee? Are they drinking something else? I mean, I would assume if it's Jimmy Fallon, he's probably drinking something else because it seems like he's drunk half the time. I don't
Red
know.
Bull.
Do you guys have a favorite late night host, like just throughout your, throughout watching TV, in your life? Is there somebody that sticks out to you as a favorite?
Graham Norton. You had mentioned him earlier. I like him.
Yeah.
I don't really watch too many hosts. Elvira, how about that for a late night host? Elvira.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Good pick. Like James Corden is one of mine just because of the car karaoke skits that he likes to do, and the riff offs too. So I always find damn entertaining. But Jimmy Fallon is like my all-time favorite.
Jimmy Fallon is your all-time favorite. All right.
He is. Even though I'm not the biggest night person because I'm usually asleep by then.
Yeah.
But I took an extra nap today, so.
There you go. That's a hot take there. I really like Dice. I really like Graham Norton's show too because it just seems like a wild party. They always get like, a group of 4 or 5, talented, ridiculously talented people on there just to like goof off for a really long time. I was like a Conan guy, I guess. A little bit of Johnny Carson, a little bit of Jay Leno earlier on in life, but I would say Conan. He really had his stride there, the late night on NBC, before he tried to take over the Tonight Show and things got weird and all that. David Letterman back in the 80s, that was pretty good too. That was pretty good.
I
what about
watching Tom Savini freak David Letterman out?
Oh yeah, going on there and showing off the tricks and everything. Yeah. Yeah, Tom Savini's work is what's your guys's, do you have a favorite Savini effects film or a favorite Savini performance that you like more than the effects?
Performance, we gotta give it up for From Dusk Till Dawn with his unique gun. So just a hit right there. But his best practical effect movie, Davey, I'm sure you can answer that question for me. I think you know.
I mean, I think his I feel like you might say The Burning, but I would say Day of the Dead. That's what I would say. What does that mean?
4. Think about it.
4. Oh, the final chapter.
Yep. It's the movie that used to be your favorite, that should be your favorite, is no longer your favorite.
Oh, it's right there with Jason Lives. Come on.
It don't matter. It don't matter. If you ain't first, you're last.
How about you,
like
Dice?
anything that Tom Savini does, really, but Creep Show was mentioned. I think that was quite fun with Raoul, the skeleton that he made and reutilized a few different times, I think. Fluffy.
Yeah, the Savini stuff, it really just took everything up a level, I mean, nowadays it's like we have, I mean, obviously, Nicotero and those guys were like proteges of his, but then you got, people like Christopher Nelson. That whole game is just kind of, blown up. Oh, and here we go. We got some hate for Leno. Leno's a scumbag. Speaking of late night show scumbags, I heard James Corden is kind of a jerk too, Brett. I don't know if you've heard any of those stories.
That doesn't surprise me, but you know what? It's just like Jeepers Creepers. You just gotta appreciate the art. You could not appreciate the person.
Sure. Well, it's a little different, right? It's probably not as
bit.
Hopefully not as bad as Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, I don't think.
That's one of my one of the most fascinating things about YouTube is as soon as somebody mentions Jeepers Creepers, it's like, all right, and the countdown begins.
Everybody feels a cold chill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, unsubscribe that guy. What the hell's he doing?
Or it's like you have to talk about it, and you have to be like, no. Oh, Lordy. Wow, really brought it down there with the Jeepers Creepers talk there, Brett. Thank you so much.
I didn't do it.
Sorry, I rather talk about Creep Show because I watched that for the very first time a couple of days ago.
What'd you think?
I thought it was a lot of fun. Definitely, I can see why it's one of the best horror anthology movies of all time, or at least top tier. But for me, it's still always going to be Trick or Treat for me. It will be the best Halloween horror anthology movie. It would have been the Halloween franchise if they just continued to go that way, but I'm not going to go there. So,
well, they still could. I don't know.
Well, they killed that off.
Yeah, I mean, it is odd though. Like with Halloween, it's like, maybe that idea would have worked now, but to try to do it when they tried to do it was way more difficult, right?
Well, they had it with Corey Cunningham, but we all know what happened. So.
Yeah, that I love Halloween Ends, but I do think that it would have been better as the next story after the close of that trilogy. How do you feel about the David Gordon Green Halloween films, Dice?
I think that I'm less harsh than a lot of people in the horror community when it comes to those. I have to say, as I have multiple times, that I'm not the biggest fan of the Halloween franchise as a whole. I recognize the original for what it did and how important it is, of course. The most recent trilogy, I rather liked the first one, the Halloween 2018, to be specific, not confused with the Halloween 1978.
Yeah.
And Halloween Kills, I was about. Halloween Ends, I think the longer that I sit with it, the more I'm accepting of it. Corey Cunningham was misplaced. We'll put it that way. Introduce him earlier, and it probably could have worked, but here we are.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I really love the performance and really love the character, and I knew going into the whole thing, that it was going to be totally different. But yeah, I mean, I think Halloween Ends, if they just finished it, on the trajectory they were already on, and then you bring Corey in, it just probably would have made a lot of fans a lot more happy. Now, so Dice, what would you say? What is your like? Do you have a franchise that's your thing? That's like your. I mean, so many people are like with Halloween and Friday the 13th and all that. But what you got?
Basic, no. Don't shoot. I'm a little bit odd with my taste. I think I don't really latch on to franchises all that much, but I have a special place for Phantasm and the Reanimator trilogy, I guess. I like the first Reanimator and Bride, the third. I know Phantasm is not flawless, but I'm one of the people who will defend Phantasm 3, so.
Yeah, Phantasm gets like another example of a horror franchise that has all sorts of interesting twists and turns, especially early on, like, replacing an actor and having that actor come back. And I mean, especially like, I don't, I've only seen the first 3. What are there, 5 or 6 Phantasms?
There's
5?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Angus
now
Scrimm, bless him, was in all of them.
Yeah.
It was like up to his death, essentially.
Yeah.
He was able to do that.
What a big dude! What a creepy. Oh, I don't know what it. Brett. You were talking about how you feel like you're in a dream. Like, I feel like those movies are really dreamy. Very like nightmarish and like can't quite put your finger on, like the kind of the very unsettling feeling that those movies leave with you. Brett, are you a Phantasm fan?
I've only seen the first Phantasm movie. I do gotta watch the other ones because I especially hear the second Phantasm movie is the best in the entirety of the franchise from what I hear. And plus, I just want to hear that classic line, "Boy." Because that is the stuff made of nightmares. A big, 7-foot guy telling you, "Boy." I'm like,
yeah.
Yes, sir.
a giant Frankenstein of a man. Yeah. Yeah, really, really wild stuff. Yeah, Jamie was saying that Phantasm's a total trip. What's funny is I did this tier ranking of horror sequels. I totally forgot Phantasm 2. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I feel very, very ashamed for having forgotten it.
Revoke his card immediately.
That's true. You probably should revoke my card right away. Now, you all use, humor in your reviews. Brett, I've noticed that, in your videos with Brad, you've got a really I like your kind of self-deprecating form of humor. I dig that. I'm certainly one who's used that from time to time. And Dice, I got addicted to watching your vids because I picked up. I know we talked about this, just offline a little bit, but big Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of vibes from your reviews, and that is like, if there's one comedic thing in my life that's more important than anything else, it's got to be Mystery Science Theater 3000. So right away I was like, okay, I can watch these reviews. I'll just barrel through every single one of them. Can you guys talk a little bit about, because we talk horror so much and everything on our channels, but comedic influences, how maybe if comedy is something that balances out the horror for you, or if it's just something you've always been into. And Dice, I always ask this of everyone that's into Mystery Science Theater. And Brett, if you're into the show as well, you can answer this one. Who or how did you find the show, or who kind of turned you on to the show?
Riff Tracks, which is, I know, the same guys, essentially.
Yeah.
But somehow I came across Riff Tracks. I cannot remember how. This was before I even started my channel. But I found some movies that I had seen. They had done commentary on it, and someone had made a highlights of that, and I thought they were hysterical. So through that, I found, they've had a longer career before this with Mystery Science Theater. This is a lot longer. Okay, let me check this out. So it was just more content to enjoy. I think maybe this was a weird little way for me to find them. I think one reason is because at one point, Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic, had done something for them in their style. So through that, I found Riff Tracks, then Mystery Science Theater, and clearly
that's awesome.
A big influence.
Yeah. Well, that's a cool kind of, way to discover something that they had previously done before. I mean, I'd stumbled on it. It was like middle of the 90s. The show had been on for years. We didn't have Comedy Central in Juneau, Alaska until like 94. We finally got it, and I just turned the TV on one Saturday night. It must have been late at night, and they were showing a rerun, and I was like, what the hell is this hilarious shit? It was Colossus and the Headhunters was, I think, the very first episode I ever saw. Brett, are you a Mystery Science Theater 3000 guy? Or are you a Misty or what?
Unfortunately, this stream was the first time I've ever heard about that. So, but it sounds really cool. Right. Yeah, and the way that Dice was describing it, I definitely want to give it a try sometime. If I can find it streaming anywhere or find anywhere on YouTube. So definitely, I'm very interested.
Yeah, they've got, I think every episode is on YouTube. They did like 200 episodes or something like that of the original show. And then, riff tracks, and then they brought the show back. Like Jonah Ray is hosted, and I think they have a few new hosts now that they're just kind of rotate through, which is actually kind of cool. I figure like, they can just keep on making the shows. But yeah, the premise is amazing because it's almost like, how many of these B movies would we have never known about with something like Mystery Science Theater? Like, no one would be talking about The Beast of Yucca Flats or Manos, The Hands of Fate if it weren't for something like Mystery Science Theater. So it's almost like some of these bad movies got like a second life through the show. Do you have a favorite episode in particular, Dice?
I think... I forget exactly which one. I enjoy pretty much every one of them, but Manos is funny. That's the only way I've seen parts of Manos.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best way.
Oh my God, how could you watch it without? Yeah.
And even when it was this weird little thing on how to save money, the witch that would appear in the grocery store and tell people how they could switch to a different brand and save money that way.
That's amazing.
Bizarre, but it's not even like a full movie. It's just a little fun thing. I quote stuff that they have said all the time. House on Haunted Hill is another one. That one's fun.
Oh, they did that. They must have done that one for Riff Tracks, right?
Yes.
House on Haunted Hill. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love those shorts because like so Brett, not only do they make fun of full entire movies, but they make fun of these little like instructional shorts, and you realize that the shorts were just like the most unabashed attempts at brainwashing. Like for the most part, they're all about like just here's how you conform. They have them about like grooming and stuff like that, where they like show this girl in college who's like, her socks are like at uneven levels and her hair is like brushed completely smooth, and they're like, oh, you didn't get the boys' attention. Like, let's take a look and see what we can do to fix you up. It's just like, oh my God, this is just like so bizarre. And of course, try to get you to.
Were wild.
It was a wild time. It was like, oh, you're pregnant? Here, you want to keep the weight down? Here's a pack of cigarettes. You want to smoke those things?
Explains a lot.
And make sure you're pretty throughout the whole pregnancy, because that's the most important thing. Forget about that. Forget about everything else. And so, Brett, how about you with your comedy? Where do you go for comedy? Do you have like a favorite, like a top 5 or a top 3 comedy movies or something like that influenced your humor?
Yeah, definitely one of the first ones that popped up into my head is Liar Liar with Jim Carrey. I think that's my all-time favorite comedy movie of all time. I can pretty much quote a lot of that movie. So I guess like Jim Carrey could be a big crucial input, like kind of like a formation of my comedy here. Another one I would say is Chris Farley. Definitely one of the unforgotten hero. Like, hopefully people don't forget him because he needs to be remembered because he's just absolutely a fantastic worker, but just his like random outbursts and all that is just hilarious. And then the last one, this is actually a TV character, not actually an actor, but Chandler Bing, because he uses all of his sarcasms and puns. I'm a pun guy, and I like to do like a lot of sarcasm stuff. So Chandler Bing from Friends was a heavy influence on my comedy. But really, honestly, how me and Brad do our comedy, that's just how we are in real life too. So that's like I told you, Davey, kind of like off, like behind the scenes. It's like if you're just be yourself, like the channel's going to be extra more fun for you, and that a lot of people are going to get to know you and all that. So that's why me and Brad is like, no matter how dumb we sound, we got to tell the people this is how we actually are. So they actually get to know us. So honestly, me and Brad's like comedy. It's just like it's been that way since day one when we become best friends.
That's awesome, man. That is so cool. Chris, so what's your favorite Chris Farley movie?
Sorry, last one. I will give credit when credit is due. Wham has also been a big inspiration for me and Brad's channel too. Just want to give a shout out to Mike and Jay over at Wham. But my favorite Chris Farley movie is absolutely Beverly Hills Ninja. Especially when he was at one of those chefs, like you go to a Japanese restaurant like Wasabi or something, and they cook at that table. Yeah, and he just does the bowing at the end. He bows his head on the freaking hot stove area, and then he gets a ham and goes, "Oh." And just puts the ham on it. Oh, I'm just telling you, I love that movie so much. That's, to me, it's like high peak Chris Farley right there.
All right. I think I've only seen that one once. Have you seen that movie?
I want to do a rewatch.
I'm afraid not. I got a lot of Chris Farley to watch. I'm afraid there's certain things that I would watch. And actually, as Ken brought up, Robin Williams was a huge portion of my childhood. And again, kind of explains things. I think Ernest P. Worrell as well. Again,
I'm a big Ernest fan. Yeah, I love Ernest.
But Chris Farley, I have been aware of for a good while, and John Candy. But I need to delve into their work more.
Yeah, and Chris really didn't have like that much. As far as films go. I mean, like starring films, maybe just like 4 or 5 that he starred in, right? I mean,
he was mainly a duo. He was like a duo and a background comedian, like Black Sheep, Tommy Boy with David Spade. Oh God, their chemistry together, perfection. Yeah, and of course he was the freaky. And then Billy Madison was another one too with Adam Sandler, where that is correct. It's hilarious.
That whole era, man, those guys, when they were making their early movies and it was a little more punk rock and a little more wild. And then, I mean, I guess it's just the way things go, but it's like all these movies like Grown Ups and stuff where all the plots are like, well, we're going to try to be funny, but now it's all about our families. And it's like, okay, like we get it, guys, but can't we just still like be silly with the comedy? Like, you can still like Tyler says, Ernest is fire. And that guy, Jim Varney played Ernest until, close to the very end there. So, it wasn't ever Ernest starts a family. They never went that route. It slam dunk Ernest. Yeah, it got absurd. All right.
Ernest
it got
even
absurd.
Went to jail. Like
he went to jail where he got superpowers. Like he got electricity powers. Have you seen that, Brett? Have you seen Ernest Goes to Jail?
I have seen a very few of the Ernest movies, but that was like since my childhood, so I need to rewatch them just to get that nostalgia back from me. But God, try and make an Ernest movie in today's generation. Holy crap, what kind of movie that would be.
Well, yeah, I mean, and oddly enough, though, it's like with him playing all those different characters and stuff like that, it is almost like you could, if Jim Varney were around, he could appeal to the TikTok generation. Because I remember, like, yeah, very and very like just skit heavy. They're like there's scenes from the movies that just seem like they're skits. And then like I remember he did like Sprite commercials and stuff like that before he was doing, I think before the movies started, right? So, and then man, Ernest Saves Christmas, I think, is a totally underrated Christmas movie. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I absolutely love that movie. And Ernest Goes to Camp, I swear, when he sings that song to his little turtle, like I tear up every time. I'm such a softie when it comes to that. So, Niagara Falls, Frankie Angel. Yeah, I get all weepy. Yeah.
Tyler said the best one for me is Ernest Scared Stupid.
Ernest Scared Stupid. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, a masterpiece. That's one I need to dive back into because I was like, when that came out, I was right at that age where I was still interested in watching the Ernest movies, but I thought Ernest Scared Stupid was like maybe a little too little kiddie for me at that time. I was probably like 12 or 13 when it came out. I don't know. But I remember liking it. It's got the big-footed trolls and the what is it? The Miak. He reads the milk upside down
Miak.
and yeah.
I bet you didn't think I would find it for this time of year.
Big Ron says Waterboy was the last good one. For Sandler, yeah. Sandler.
Actually, I would think that The Longest Yard was the last great one. And then you just had some hit and misses. And then that's like you said, Davey, Adam Sandler and those group of core comedy actors are trying to get their Oscars and all that. It's like, no, shut up. You don't get an Oscar. You just make us some damn comedy. Like,
yeah. And, it makes sense. Like, you're getting older. You're not going to have, like, the same kind of energy and be into the same kind of sense of humor and all that stuff. Like, I get it. Like, I mean, you get a big fat paycheck from Netflix. It's kind of hard to say no, right? I mean, if they were like, hey, make some dumb comedy about being grown up, I'd be like, okay, I'll take your $100 million.
Nah, I'm okay. How about 100 million? When do I start?
How many zeros are on that check?
Yeah, how many zeros? Like, when do we start?
And they are bringing back. Apparently, Happy Gilmore's coming back. So,
yep.
legacy sequels. Now it's gone from horror movies to now it's going over into the comedies as well. We're gonna get a legacy sequel.
Be afraid.
Yeah. How do you think they're gonna handle? How do you handle something like Happy Gilmore 2? How do you even dive into a sequel to that movie?
Go to Bob Barker's grave and said the price was wrong, bitch. Like,
that's
dark.
Just
watch the hate comments flow in.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Do you bring in James Corden, Brett? You bring in James Corden?
No. See, I like Big Rod right there. You got to bring back Shooter McGavin back, obviously. You have to do that just to bring back that rivalry. And I forgot her name, but she's pretty much the mom in Modern Family, the blonde one, Phil Dunphy's wife. Yeah, which gorgeous. But probably, I hate to go dark again, but probably this time around you could do like Granny or, oh my gosh, was Happy's mother, like grandmother's like funeral and all that, and he bring everything back together, and he plays one more round of golf in her honor, or just something like that.
Gotcha. Okay. I see. What if it were something like Happy has to jump back in the game for whatever, you can just make a money problem, right? And Shooter's like been washed up and like completely defeated since he lost his chance at getting the jacket. And he's like a total recluse, right? And Happy hasn't played in a really long time and like needs someone to kind of catch him up and everything. So Happy and Shooter actually have to like team up. Like Happy has to like drag Shooter out of the gutter essentially. And like
they become friends.
Maybe they have to compete in like a doubles round to like, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Save some sort of, save the rainforest.
An orphanage.
I don't know. Was that nice?
Save an orphanage.
Exactly, something like that. The orphanage that was named after Grandma or something like that, or named after Chubbs or something like that. And we can't even have Chubbs.
Or they could just fight Ben Stiller again. It's like, I like to have a warm glass of milk when I go to sleep. Oh, I got an idea. How about you shut the hell up or I'll put you to sleep? Yeah, exactly.
I'll get you a nice warm glass of shut the hell up. Yeah, that was, Ben Stiller before really had. What's crazy about Ben Stiller is he was like directing movies before he had like his comedic break. So he directed like what is it, Reality Bites? I think he directed that one and he starred in it as well. So he was doing like more like kind of serious-ish stuff. And then he had, have you guys seen his sketch comedy show that was on Fox? It only ran for like 6 or 8 episodes. He ran it on Comedy Central when I was a kid. It's really oddball, but really funny. But it's crazy to go back when you think of how big of a star Ben Stiller became, and then you see him in these bit roles. Happy Gilmore. Even like, are you guys familiar with Heavyweights?
Oh, I heard of it before.
It's like an early 90s. It's like a 94 comedy about these kids that get sent to fat camp. And it's got like a whole bunch of these child actors. They basically try to figure out a way to like sneak candy into the camp, and Ben Stiller plays like the total psycho workout freak that runs the camp.
White Goodman. He's freaking White Goodman from that's like a little like kind of like an origin story of White Goodman for Dodgeball. That's exactly what that sounds like.
Well, and I saw a video. I didn't watch the video, but I saw it come across my YouTube where somebody was basically saying that Ben Stiller is playing the same character in the same character from Heavyweights and Happy Gilmore and Dodgeball, that it's all the same guy. Because they're very similar in nature. There's one of my favorite lines, and this will just be for the folks like Nick Push who knows about Heavyweights. There's a line in Heavyweights where Ben Stiller gets on the intercom across the whole camp and he says, "Lunch is canceled today due to lack of hustle. Deal with it." And it's, I don't know what it is. It cracks me up. What's his face from, gosh, the guy that directed Paul Feig? Is that the guy that directed the Ghostbusters movie, 2016 Ghostbusters? He did Bridesmaids.
We do not talk about that film here, sir.
But is that because I think he acted in that movie, so even before he was directing and all that. But, oh my gosh, we got some Heavyweights love here in the chat. Big Rod says Heavyweights is awesome. Yeah, I saw it 3 times in the theater.
Nice.
What a wild time to be alive. You could go to the theater for like $4. It was crazy. Raymond says, only Ben Stiller movies I liked. Are there something about Mary and Dodgeball?
Good one.
No love for Zoolander?
I haven't seen Zoolander, but I heard, like, I just know that one scene where it's like, my God, yeah, baby, there it is. It's beautiful. Like, that's the only thing I know of. But other than that, I haven't seen it.
I've watched Zoolander a couple times. I don't remember much. Never saw the sequel. Comedy sequels where they wait for a decade, I'm just like, come on, what are you doing? Like, we've seen it, the train wreck of all the Dumb and Dumbers they've tried to make, right? And then, I mean, Anchorman, the second Anchorman had a couple moments, you know? But, I don't know. Let's see here. Bronson says, have you guys seen Tower Heist? Ben Stiller and Eddie Murphy are in it together. I've never even heard of that movie. How is there a movie with Ben Stiller and Eddie Murphy in it, and I've never even heard of it? What is that all about?
Lack of advertisements, Adam.
I actually heard about this movie
2011.
through advertisements.
Brett Ratner directed it. All right. I don't know. When a group of hardworking guys find out they've fallen victim to their wealthy employer's Ponzi scheme, oh man, tale as old as time, they conspire to rob his high-rise residence. All right. Oh, you got to get yours, right?
I mean, there's worse ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so, yeah, moving away from the comedy talk, let's talk some horror. I mean, we kind of have some horror news-ish that's been bubbling up lately. I mean, you know, all the craziness with the Crystal Lake series, which I don't know. If I put my money on anything, I would put my money on that show never happening. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on the Crystal Lake series.
We weren't really given much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thoughts are, but why? And, oh, look, it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you guys think about the whole idea of, you know, I mean, basically it seems like it would be kind of like Bates Motel, but for Friday the 13th. What do you think about, you know, a TV show that acts as sort of like a prequel to set everything up for the rest of the story?
Well, to echo an idea that my friend Charles of Willis Greedia has thrown out there multiple times, why don't we see what Pamela did? Why don't we follow Pamela for a while?
Yeah, that's something that I've heard Vincent DeSanti bring up as well when he goes on his Ghost Files chats. Talks about how, like, you know, Pamela is a big... The story doesn't happen without Pamela in every single way, because everything that Jason does is sort of kicked off from that. So he is like a mind that, yeah, we do need to pay some respect to this character and spend some time with them and see, you know, how it all came to be. What do you think, Brett?
No, actually, that's kind of funny that Dice brought that up, because that's exactly what me and Brad want as well. We want to see what Pamela Voorhees did that led up to the events, all those, like, for that opening scene of the original Friday the 13th. But I think mainly for me, this is a great idea to do, like, to treat the series like a prequel, because not only do you like just please the regular fans of Friday the 13th, but this is your golden opportunity to create a brand new fan group within the newer generation, so you could carry the legacy of Friday the 13th moving forward.
Yeah, and kind of like paint some context for the people that have yet to find this series, right? So then maybe there are people that the TV show would be the first thing that they saw, and then they go
or
into
kind of like
movies.
what the Scream franchise did. Like that's how they got a whole new generation of fans. So it's just something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with Pamela, my weird thing, like my headcanon is that Pamela is actually responsible for Jason's death. There are specific moments in the first movie where she has, the screen sort of splits in a way, and we see Jason like in the water screaming for help, and it's almost as if it's a thought bubble from Pamela. And I know that could just be a cinematic language to sort of show like going on in her head, but also to me sort of like, well, did she witness that? And she witnessed him asking for help and she didn't do anything? Like, was the burden of having this child, did it become too much for her? Did she break at some point? And then the way to sort of deal with what she had done, what she had put her boy through, was to have this kind of psychotic break and blame it on the kids, to where it's like not even their fault at all. Like, I don't know. Am I totally off there? What do you guys think about that idea? Or is that too much like Bates Motel, where it seems like Norm's mom is like, a psycho killer, and that's the reason why he's a psycho killer?
It's not a bad idea.
Am I being too mean to Pamela?
Maybe. The Pamela stands will just be really upset. It's not a bad idea. I think it would kind of be interesting. I'm not terribly well versed in the Friday the 13th lore. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of comic books and whatnot. But what if it was kind of following Pamela's life to some degree, like how she got with whoever Jason's father is, how that I assume a breakup happened, and what led to this mental break, as it were, trying to build this lovely ideal life, and then that happens and it's all broken apart.
Yeah, it's because we don't get much with I think Elias is the father's name, but other than the concept of him showing up at the end of Jason Lives, which was never actually shot, it was just something that was in the original script. I don't know if we've ever seen in any sort of certainly not any like live action media, maybe a comic book, although when it comes to comics I don't dive into every little thing, so I'm not quite sure. Yeah, that is an interesting thing. Like, did they break up because Jason didn't come out right, or was there some sort of? I guess you could take it all sorts of ways. You could have it like Elias is like a religious zealot, and he blames her or something like that, and basically goes and starts another family or something like that. Yeah. What do you think, Brett? What you got?
For me, what I would think is kind of like I agree with Aaron Click here. Said Pamela was too occupied cooking breakfast. So, like, that is an interesting idea, but I feel like the idea is just the first movie being what we call overclimactic, or trying to explain without giving too much context. But plus, if you kind of do that idea of like her having a psychotic break because she couldn't handle being a parent, I feel like kind of takes away everything from that first speech of the original movie, because she did everything for her son Jason and to get revenge and all that. Everything she does, even though very bad or very sick, is all because of Jason, because it's her special boy. So for me, I still like just to see like when that psychotic break happened, when Jason passed away, and I want to see that performance. And it's just a shame, because I'm kind of like with you, Davey, we might not see the light of day of it, but I really hope I'm wrong. Yeah,
I mean, it would be, I'd be there to watch it, absolutely. I'm always so skeptical when it comes to TV shows, because I feel like they put so much filler in television. Like The Walking Dead, I had to give up on it after like 2 seasons. I was like, Jesus, half of this damn show is just people bitching at each other about like run-of-the-mill stuff, and it just felt like they're trying to keep the spirit or copy the spirit of a Romero film without having like anything really interesting going on. And then, you know, Aaron right here is like, I want new horror properties to take the place of the old ones. Just, you know, instead of like he follows it up with, I feel like fans are just kind of hanging on desperately to nostalgia. Well, and I guess the studios are too, because they still want to make this thing work somehow.
There's the whole thing of the recognizable IP. Because how are you going to market something new if people don't recognize it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had that whole thing with the Jason universe, which is like, well, we're going to release a bunch of products. So it's like, okay, you guys have figured out the marketing part of the job, but you have no idea what to actually do with the character. Whereas like, yeah, and it's I mean, that's the reason why, you know, a property like Halloween is, you know, Michael took most of the 80s off, and here he is sitting on the top of the horror hill, because you can go find Michael Myers and Halloween merchandise, and they have been making movies. It's like the two things have to kind of exist in a marriage for it to really work. I mean, we've even got to the point now where you go to Walmart and there's like NECA toys for Season of the Witch. Like, so even niche of Halloween is showing up at Target and Walmart. I mean, that's pretty wild. And then, yeah, I mean, I guess to speak to what, you know, Aaron's saying here with like, you know, they're selling Terrifier stuff at Walmart now. Bloody Disgusting has like a big old setup there at the Walmarts that I've been seeing people put videos together on. So yeah, I mean, how do you guys feel about, you know, the state of horror as it gets a little more mainstream with stuff like that? Is that, you see that as a good thing? I mean, I guess horror being mainstream doesn't necessarily lessen the horror with stuff like Terrifier coming out, but how do you guys think it affects just the genre overall?
I don't know if that can read because it's mirrored, but it says horror is for everyone.
There you go. So you're all for?
Yeah, I don't mind, because I'm someone who's late to horror as a whole. I didn't grow up with it. I was actually actively trying to avoid things that were scary when I was a kid. But I think my love of Halloween, the holiday, kind of led into that naturally. So people being very accepting of me, I think, is a good thing that can be passed on to others. I don't like gatekeeping, just in general.
Yeah.
So if it's mainstream, that's great. It brings more attention to people who maybe are working on an indie scale, who need the funding, who need the attention. And that can be very beneficial. So, and that can add to original stuff. So.
Yeah, you never know like what movie would be the gateway for somebody to get into something, you know, a little more on the fringe. How about you, Brett?
Yeah, and actually, in a way, you could kind of thank Halloween 2018 for that, because I feel like that was kind of like the movie that kind of entered the mainstream era, because you got Jamie Lee Curtis, a very well-known actress, going back into the horror genre, and you brought so many new non-horror fans into the horror realm. So, like, it's just like, there's a lot of positives to that, but to me, there could also be a lot of negatives for it, because you do see a lot of people who have not grown into the horror genre. Like, I got a late start on the horror genre as well, so Dice, it was kind of cool hearing you had like that same experience, because like we have like a different like approach to horror. Like we didn't caught up on some of the things that everybody in the chat or Davey has had many years to caught up on. So like we still got a lot of catching up to do. No, I wasn't sorry. I wasn't trying to do that.
You're knowledgeable. You're knowledgeable.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's the good thing that we you know, a good topic to bring up. Brett, The Conjuring 2 was the movie that kind of kicked it off for you. Is that right?
The first one.
It was the first one. Okay. So the first Conjuring movie kind of kicked it off for you. That was 15 years ago or something like that?
Let's see, I'm trying to put on my thinking cap here. I want to say 2016 is when I got around to doing that, because again, best friend Brad, he tried to get me into the horror genre, like try to get me through the Paranormal Activities and all that, which shamefully Paranormal Activity 4 was my first horror movie at the theater. No, actually that's false. Scream 4 was my first one, because I just thought Ghostface looked cool. Scared the shit out of me, but because I wasn't a horror fan, so it scared me. But yeah, in 2016, Brad's like, okay, fine, one more movie. I promise you to never show another horror movie to you ever again. I'm like, fine, one more. What is it? The Conjuring. Great, let's do it. And then that Bathsheba scare on top of the wardrobe scared me so bad, but that was the moment that made me a horror fan.
Yeah, you got a taste of that. I call it the roller coaster. When people are like, "Oh, I can't watch scary movies," and I'm like, "Well, real life is like kind of stresses the shit out of me, so I like an escape. And I like something that's like a roller coaster. That's how I kind of, those like you want to be scared." How about you, Dice? What was the first horror movie that got you rolling on that roll?
Oh, another pun. Oh, I'm being used.
I am an old guy. I get to make them.
Oh, okay. It's a dad joke thing. Okay. Ken, are you still here? But it's interesting because there were different little points, which looking back now, I can be like, wow, I didn't realize that. It took me this long. But different things that I think I was shown that I enjoyed. The Universal monsters have been present for the longest time for me. But I think I can pinpoint it as the original Wolfman is the reason why I was pushed into the horror genre a bit more, because I loved werewolves as a kid. I still do. So that kind of led into everything else.
That's awesome. Yeah, those movies, like I was the weirdo kid in my grade school where I would like check out the books from the libraries. They had these, I can't remember what company put them out. I saw like James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd. He did like a video, I think, where he showed them off. They're like this, you have the black and white image. I think there's like an orange border at the top, and they would break down each character and show all the movies that they were, represented in those old Universal films. And yeah, the werewolf one, the Wolfman, it does a really good job of that kind of like tortured, similar to like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Like this whole like something's happening to me and I don't want it. Like I want to control this thing. And Lon Chaney Jr. just has like such a believable like kind of sad guy face. It's like the best face for because his dad's known for being able to like play anything. I feel like Jr. sort of like tried to do Hollywood tried to push him to sort of be his dad, and he really wasn't so much, but really works in that first Wolfman movie.
Very sympathetic character.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, I guess, what about stuff like Jaws? Do you guys never saw that growing up or anything? Like, do you consider Jaws horror or on the fringe? Yeah. That freaked you out as a kid, Dice?
Well, here's the fun thing. I won't tell the whole story. It's not real long. I've just told it a multitude of times. But I didn't watch the movie when I was a kid. I didn't watch the movie for quite a long time. I think I first actually watched it when I was in my early 20s, perhaps. But the reason why Jaws is so important to me is because, has anybody been on the California Universal Studios tram ride?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
There is a section for Amity, the island of Amity. And of course you have Jaws there. And that's the Jaws animatronic that comes up. Well, I was 4 years old when I was first introduced to Bruce, and that caused me to have a bit of a great white shark phobia for a very long time. Probably still do to some degree. Also, submechanophobia is something that we have very strongly because of that. So that's nice.
Wait,
Jaws had a
what's
huge
that?
impact. Oh, is... Let's see if I can describe it. It's either partially or fully submerged animatronics, essentially, or something that looks out of place.
Okay.
Jaws fits right into that, whether it's the tram ride or the movie itself.
So no Five Nights at Freddy's, right?
The Five Nights at Freddy's is fine. They're not in water.
Oh, okay.
Because they're not submerged.
Yeah.
Now, if they're walking through a foot of water, now we have a problem.
There's a problem. There could be a very small animatronic, but it's still there.
I can totally see that. I can totally see that. That because the water's always freaked me out. Like I've always been, I don't trust it. I look at it with side eye all the time. If I'm, I just we don't belong
dark water.
there.
There could be anything in there.
Well, we don't belong there, but it covers so much of our damn planet. It's like we just got these legs. We're not meant to be in that. And that whole fear of the unknown, especially where I grew up, if you could be on the ocean and look down and you don't see like past an inch. Like the water up in Alaska is like very, very dark. There's no like nice like sandy beach where you can like see through, none of that. No like toilet bowl looking water like you have in Mexico or anything like that. So that I was always freaked the fuck out of water as a kid, and especially if you fall into it where I lived, it was serious no matter what time of year it was. But I think that there was that fear that I had of Jaws. It made me more interested. I'd go and like rent the National Geographic VHS tapes about sharks and just try to like learn about them. That was the way that I dealt with the fears. I was like, well, now I'm going to learn everything about these damn things.
That's fair. I grew up in a landlocked state, so I was like, don't need it, thank you.
Yeah, but still afraid of the sharks.
Yeah. Even if it was, I think everybody kind of can sympathize with this. It's the idea of like you're in a pool and there's a darker shaded portion that's deeper. Anything could be in there. I can see everything, but anything could pop out of nowhere. It's a weird, like human nature self-preservation thing. It's weird.
Yeah. I get the same. Like I don't even feel comfortable in a pool. I feel like something's after me. I don't know what it is. I guess I just have a fear of the water. I'm like Brody. They're like, what do they call that? And he's like drowning.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel.
He's got a fear of the water. What was that called? Drowning. Thank you.
Aquaphobia?
I think when it's deep, dark water specifically, it's bathophobia. Ironically. Okay. You got to explain to people. I'm not afraid of taking a bath. That's not it.
Not afraid of all water, just enough water. And if it's out in nature, it's even scarier.
Yeah.
Let's get over to, I wanted to grab a couple, there's some chat that came through that I snagged here. Let's see. Bronson wants to know what our favorite Johnny Depp / Tim Burton movie is. You guys have a favorite Johnny Depp, Tim Burton team up?
There
are quite a few.
Yeah.
There are, I mean, I'm trying to think of one that is bad. I don't know if there's, well, I could only get through like 5 minutes of Alice in Wonderland, so I guess that one's probably pretty bad.
Hey, come on.
I had to shut that shit off, dude. That shit was so bad, Brett.
I thought it was really good.
I could not get through the first 10 minutes because they just spent the whole first 10 minutes like telegraphing like she's unlike any other girl. I'm just like, oh god, I hate this shit so bad. Like, let me find this out through a natural telling of the story. Like, don't just like yell this kind of stuff out at me. Like, it's Alice in Wonderland. If you show up with Alice in Wonderland movie and you don't think that she's a whimsical character, then like, what the hell are you doing at the Alice in Wonderland movie?
The story is.
Yeah.
Two that come to mind for me would be Edward Scissorhands and Sleepy Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Those two I quite enjoy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Easily Edward Scissorhands with me.
Yeah. Edward Scissorhands is like got this dark sense of humor to it that I really love.
I think it's also the maybe the appealing nature of this like really well put together color coordinated town of normal people, and then there's this weirdo who gets adopted essentially by the sweetest woman in history, and I'm here going yeah, it's like this very like hyper stylized 60s version of America kind of. It's like leaning into all the stereotypes, all the things that we think the 60s were, like all in the little town. And then what do you guys think about when you watch Sleepy Hollow? Do you see any of that kind of like, I see so much of like the old Hammer film kind of influence in that movie. Do you guys pick up on any of that? Yep.
And like everyone from Harry Potter is in that movie for some reason.
If that's Dumbledore. Oh.
Yeah, half of the cast, or you're just like, oh my gosh, and it's that guy, and it's that guy. I think if I had to pick one, I'm gonna go off kilter here, Bronson. I'm gonna say Ed Wood. I think that's my favorite Johnny Depp Tim Burton movie. I'm fascinated with bad movies, Mystery Science Theater 3000. So of course Ed Wood is a fascinating character to me, a very troubled man. But as far as his filmmaking goes, I applaud the fact that he has, I mean, stick-to-itiveness. It's not really a word, but if it were, Ed Wood would have created it. Because yeah, there's just something about the failure after failure after failure. He just kept on going, right? And I think there's something fun with the way that Depp plays him. Kind of plays him real, but kind of plays him like a character. I don't know. That movie just cracks me up. Another kind of dark comedy. Have you seen that one, Brett? You're quiet there in the middle.
Sorry, because honestly, I've not ever heard of Ed Wood before, or I've not seen Sleepy Hollow. So I'm trying to keep myself out of trouble over here.
Oh no, you're from outer space. Strap in.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude. Well, and that's the funny thing too, is like Ed Wood's movies are really bad. I mean, they're really bad, but I've seen worse because I've seen Mystery Science Theater. Yeah, Tommy Wiseau. Yeah, Coleman Francis, I would say, is a worse filmmaker than Ed Wood. He made 3 movies and they're all really terrible. I mean, Beast of Yucca Flats has no on-screen dialogue. What the hell is that? That's barely a movie. It's almost like Terrifier, right, Brett?
Oh, hey.
Hey, I love like, Terrifier 2 I can hang with, all right?
I know. Hey, we're getting there.
I just need some sort of story. That's all.
Before things get too hectic, so just be careful.
I think Terrifier 3 could be the best one. I really do. Like, I think that if they get the runtime thing figured out and you keep telling an actual story, then you could easily have your best movie be the third one here. Are you into Terrifier, Dice?
I had semi-recently. Letterboxd makes it so much easier to be able to pinpoint when something happened. That's really helpful. But I watched Terrifier, and I don't hate it, but I think it's a very acquired taste kind of movie. I'm not opposed to gore or anything like that, but it was just kind of gritty, and that was about it to me. Terrifier 2 I liked a lot more. So I'm curious about Terrifier 3, a Christmas film, apparently.
Yeah.
So
a Christmas film released on 50th anniversary of Black Christmas, which, and I think 50th of Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well. October 11th. I think that's the one. Yeah. And yeah, the first Terrifier movie, I was just like, is this even a movie? Like, it just seems like a demo tape, kind of, like there's no through line really other than art tormenting people. So it just seemed kind of like more of the same from like All Hallows Eve. And then, in the second one, you're like, oh, sweet. We have a final girl. Like, she has a family. There's like, seems like they, casted some people with some better acting chops here. So even though I felt like Terrifier 2, maybe they did take the gore a little bit further in the second one, but I just felt like it was a much more like, oh, this is like a legitimately written movie. Like, I don't even, I'm kind of with you, Dice, as far as like the gore. It's like, go ahead and be as extreme as you want, as long as like it's an actual movie. That's like my thing. It's like, go ahead and push all the boundaries. In fact, I wish some movies would push the boundaries a little bit more. Like, I'm a big Dead Alive fan, and I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, and I thought that Rise kind of like, it was sort of a detriment that I felt like Rise sort of held back a little bit compared to where they could have taken it, especially considering how brutal and hardcore the 2013 Betty Alvarez Evil Dead was. I felt like Rise could have, pushed things way over the edge and just sort of held back. Are you guys Evil Dead fans?
I've cosplayed Ash once.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Bring it up. I'll let you share the screen. No, I'm just.
Oh god, I don't know. I don't even know where it is. This was like 2011, maybe.
All right. And what's your favorite in the series, Dice?
Evil Dead 2. I like that one the best. I think that's where Sam Raimi really hit that nice mix of comedy and horror, and just beating the hell out of Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
Man says, I don't want to be in any more Evil Dead movies, and I go, I understand.
I love have you seen the behind the scenes where like you can actually
That, yeah.
like you hear Sam like behind the camera? I think it's the scene in the cabin where they're like throwing the dummy that has the chainsaw, like the headless dummy, and you can just hear Sam in the background. He's like, and hit him harder. No, go at him more. Just really hit him. He's just like wanting to torture Bruce as much as possible. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, Evil Dead 2, man. What a damn movie. That was when I first saw those movies. That was the one where I was like, this is my favorite for this exactly the reasons why you're saying. So stylized.
Those people
like
are off their ass. Oh my god. Let's see what happens next. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. Like where are they taking this? And then it's kind of interesting because I feel like when they did the TV show, they sort of brought it back to a little bit of that Evil Dead 2 sort of feel. Like I felt like the TV show kind of had that nice mix of like, yeah, sometimes Ash acts a little Army of Darkness-y, but as far as like the horror goes and the dark sense of humor is way more kind of Evil Dead 2 style. Especially I think it was like the beginning of the second season where he's in the morgue with that body that like comes to life. I don't know. That's like one of the things that stands. I can't even repeat what happens in that scene because I'll probably get taken off of YouTube for saying those words.
What would you say? We're protecting spoilers.
But it was wild. I was like, wow, even on a TV show, Evil Dead is just like pushing all the boundaries here. Yeah, amazing to see. Let's see here. Oh, I lost that one. I meant to grab it. Oop. Here we got one from my Tyler. So the Universal monsters were referenced so much in my pop culture intake growing up that I felt like I saw all there was to see of them. Only seen Creature of the Black Lagoon. Yeah, I think those Universal, those monster movies, I think they stand up really well. I especially think, I mean, everyone talks about this one, no secret at all, but Bride of Frankenstein is absolutely remarkable. I mean, the special effects, the music, like the storytelling, it's just one of those movies, like the first time I saw it, I was like, wait, how did they pull this stuff off back then? Kind of like the Frederick March. I don't know if you guys have seen the Frederick March, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from 1931. I've seen that one.
Not yet.
Because that one has special effects where I'm like, they did really creative. They put colored lenses in front of the camera. And so the actor has all the makeup on, and then they remove the colored lenses that reveal the makeup like in stages. So March just has to do one take of like the transformation as they remove those filters, but it looks like you'd think it was CG, like how well they pull off the effects. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. I love that movie so much. I like the portrayal of, I'm a big Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde fan. I love the Frederick March's portrayal of both characters. He's very like dapper and charming and handsome as Jekyll, and then just a complete animal when he's Hyde. It's really, really cool. Let's see here. Are you guys seeing anything else come through the chat that I'm missing? I try to keep up on everything. But Brett, you're so good at the chat. I know. You guys.
Me, I've been taking the night off when it comes to the chat. I've only seen a couple of things. So
this is my day off.
Yeah, Davey, you don't ask me to be on your show to be mod, okay?
That costs extra.
Do something.
The Phantom says Army of Darkness is the best because of the time travel aspect, but I'm not a big fan of the series, really. Well, it's good that you like one of them. I think that's the really cool thing about those first three movies is they're each a different genre, or a different flavor of genre, as it were. Yeah, the Phantom. Maybe give Evil Dead 2 another try. Maybe the comedy would win you over on a second viewing there. Aaron loves the Universal classic monster films. A lot of people think Dracula is slow and boring, but I think it's so gothic and beautiful. Yeah, I mean Dracula's great. The Spanish Dracula is really good too.
Yeah, the fact that they were filmed pretty much at the same time.
Yeah,
is really interesting.
Yeah, it's a really cool way to see just the way a director would approach, or director of photography and director would approach directing the actors and where to put the camera, because it is a totally different kind of feel. In some ways, I think the Spanish one is like even more accurate to the original story. Yeah. And so that's a good little movie news thing to sort of wrap into here. Did you guys check out the Nosferatu trailer?
Yes.
I did not.
Best trailer I've ever seen.
Best trailer you've ever seen, Brett.
The horror genre, best trailer I've ever seen. It was absolutely perfect. They didn't give away too much, but just enough where you're like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Some people should be taking notes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and no, seriously, like, they do. Like, Blumhouse needs to take notes.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that Eggers is, jumping into something that's, been done before. I know The Northman is like technically, it's based on the story that Hamlet was based on. So I know that there's those kinds of like similarities there, but I know it's based on like an old folk tale, right? So The Northman's never been really told in that way before. But doing something like Nosferatu is kind of almost sort of like a gamble for somebody that's as like, unique and creative. I'm really looking forward to it. I absolutely adore his filmmaking. Dice, are you waiting to do a reaction, or are you not too interested, or are you an Eggers fan?
I like what he's done thus far. I think he's got a very interesting eye for period pieces. So I think Nosferatu fits quite well for that. Bring us more rat vampires, thank you. Very underappreciated vampire, thanks. I'm avoiding the trailer just because that's what I tend to do more recently, because that way I like to go into movies, which I know is nearly impossible now, but as blindly as possible, because that way I won't set certain expectations for myself in my brain, and hopefully I can enjoy it more. I want to enjoy the films that I watch.
Yeah. So. I mean, that's a legitimate concern. I think, like, I see that. I've felt it happen with me, and I've seen it happen with others, where like the hype just gets built up so big on a movie that there's no way that you can be let down, right? I mean, I feel like Late Night with the Devil was one of those kinds of movies where the people that ran out and saw it at the theater were like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And then everyone that waited for streaming was like, I finally watched that fucking Late Night with the Devil movie. And like, it was okay. Like, and I'm not saying everyone, but I'm like, because it was just about like a month between the theatrical release and the friggin' streaming release. And I mean, when you announce that to people, it just seems like it's going to kind of cut the legs out from under it a little bit.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even with something like Nosferatu, which like we basically kind of know the story, in a sense.
Bootleg Dracula, yeah.
Bootleg Dracula, exactly. That's the summary. Yeah, and I guess I wonder just how much Eggers with the because he likes to use like the language and everything that was used at that time. Like I just wonder how much they're gonna play with the script. There's this isn't spoiling much for you, Dice, but there's just not much dialogue in the trailer. We just get a couple lines.
Originally,
yeah.
So
yeah, but didn't they do a remake? Did they do one in the 70s? Werner Herzog.
1979.
Okay.
I think there were like.
Yeah, there was one in 1922, one in 1979, which is the German version of it, and then this 2024 one. So this is like America's like take on the Nosferatu story and all that. Again, Robert Eggers, the perfect person to do this movie.
I have faith. I have faith.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, and it is odd though. I think that it's coming out on Christmas. I'm just like,
Merry Christmas, rat vampire. Enjoy.
Well,
ended with a bang.
Yeah, when it's like. We're there's all this talk about movies like underperforming the theaters, and it's like, oh, you're gonna put out a horror movie on Christmas, like that's interesting,
Sometimes it works. I think it wasn't on Christmas, but it was really quite close to Christmas. I think that The Exorcist came out.
So it actually came out on December the 26th.
Very close. The day after Christmas, Boxing Day.
I believe 1973. The only reason I know is because I do Back from the Dead, so it's my job to look up these horror anniversaries.
Oh yeah.
We are professionals.
Yeah.
Some of us not
Tyler brings up Shadow of the Vampire, which I thought was pretty. I'm like, man, Willem Dafoe got into another like Nosferatu. He was in a Nosferatu adjacent movie, and now he's in the actual Nosferatu film. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if I've ever seen Lily Rose Depp looked, judging from what we saw in the trailer, it looks like the performance is good. I saw the first maybe 20 minutes of Yoga Hosers and could not take any more. So it's always good to see a performer, continue to grow.
She can do better.
Yeah, I mean, can't you just go up to your dad and be like, teach me, wise one?
Hire somebody for lessons, please. At least somebody.
Yeah. Well, and who knows? I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Johnny jumps into next, since he's like seems like he's done with big Hollywood. It would be amazing to see him in something like relatively small, I mean,
go back to the weird roles. Go ahead.
Yeah, come back to Nightmare on Elm Street, Johnny. Somehow.
That'd be interesting.
If they do, hey, if Cecil gets to make his version of Dylan's New Nightmare that he wants to make, then maybe there could be a way to work that in.
Maybe, but I know that, according to how he sees things, as far as his interpretation, this is supposed to be in the real world, so I guess maybe Johnny Depp wouldn't come back as the same character, so...
Yeah, exactly, that it would be Johnny playing Johnny.
Yes, Johnny as Johnny.
Because, he said he would have done a New Nightmare, but Wes didn't ask him. Wes didn't think that he would have said yes. So I'm like, oh man, that's a little bit of a missed opportunity, because he does show up in Freddy's Dead.
Yeah.
I think I forgot about that until the last time I watched that movie. I was like, oh shit, he does the whole like your brain on drugs thing.
He does the 80s thing. The 80s thing.
Yeah. The thing that Rachel Lee Cook made very, very famous in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
One of the many things that made me fall in love with her. That's like my Barbara Crampton has become kind of a crush as of late, but Rachel Lee Cook was like the only one. I know we talked about that, Brett, on Real Talk.
Yep, she's all that. That's all I gotta say about her.
Yeah, she is all that. Do y'all have any Hollywood crushes that you feel comfortable calling out here?
We'd like to alphabetize it. I think I've mentioned previously that there's two, perhaps, that are kind of a returning thing for me. Michael J. Fox, ever since I was very small. But that's also very interesting because people are like, you kind of look like Marty McFly. I'll work with it. And Lauren Hutton, like specifically from One Spittin'. So these two things. Thank you.
I need to look her up because I rented that movie when I was a kid. Like long before Jim Carrey was a star. I did not remember that he was in it. I remember her because that's the one where she has to bite on like the inside.
Yeah,
the men have to be bitten on the inside of their thigh. I'm like, that's
they have to be
that's
virgins.
Convenient. Yes, I remember that they play the Future Bright I Gotta Wear Shades song when he's like going through his transformation montage, kind of. I think.
No, I think that's actually a different one. My Best Friend is a Vampire.
Is that what that is?
About the same time.
Mandela effect happens to me every show, it seems.
That's right. You got a young teen boy getting turned into a vampire by a young seductive female vampire. So,
Very similar, yes. Son los mismos. Bronson wants to know what our thoughts are on Blackula. Have y'all seen Blackula?
Never seen it.
I recommend it. It's surprising. It was part of the very niche version of blaxploitation that covered horror, but I think if you go into it like I did and you're expecting something literally exploitive, but you come out of it with a certain appreciation for it, at least I did, because the lead actor in that, whose name I forget at the moment, I'm afraid, but he was fabulous. and made the main character, Blackula, Mama Waldy, very sympathetic. And I think, especially during the 70s, that was very rare for an antagonist.
Sure, yeah. And does it take place in the 70s? I saw it as a kid. I haven't seen it as an adult. Oh, Dice, are you there? Are you there, Brett? Did I lose everybody?
Yeah, I'm still here. I was double checking. It's like, am I the one that's gone, or?
I heard the mic cut out, so I'm like, yeah, there must be.
Yeah, like I heard that too. I thought it was a van, but like, yeah, I was like, no, I'm still good. So
I freeze once in a while. That happens, I'm afraid.
Dice is back. All right. Yeah, Dice, does Blackula take place in the 70s? Is it like contemporary? Okay.
Yep.
I'll have to check it out again. I haven't seen it. I think I rented that one like when I was a little. My parents were really cool, letting me rent like pretty much anything. Like I grew up in a Catholic home, but I was the fifth of five, and my parents were basically like, well, you can watch anything with us, and if it gets to any sexy business, you're just gonna have to cover your eyes. But as far as like all the other stuff goes, they were pretty lenient. So I think I watched Blackula as a kid, and then there was one that was like it was like Blackula and like Blackenstein or some sort of like Dracula versus Frankenstein that was a blaxploitation film as well. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, young Davey rented some interesting flicks from the good old VHS rental store back in the 80s. That, and I watched those, and then the Monster Squad would be on, on Recycle every few months, of course.
Sounds about right.
Let's see here. I'm just trying to grab some other questions from the chat. Allie girl jumped in here. What's up? And Allie says Barbara Crampton looks amazing. Yeah, I got to meet her in December, and I was very, very nervous. She was so sweet, though. Got my picture with her and everything. It was super cool.
Hell yeah.
Have you all seen that movie she was in a handful of years ago called We Are Still Here?
I haven't seen that one yet.
Ooh, that was one where I was like, I hadn't seen Barbara Crampton in a movie in a while. Like, I guess like I'd probably watched Reanimator a few years before, and was looking for something to watch to like download on my computer before going on like a plane ride or something like that. Got We Are Still Here on there. Didn't really expect much. It's like a slow burn kind of like haunted house film. This older couple moves into this house. They've recently just lost their college age son, and they're kind of going through the mourning process. And then they happen to move into this house where there are, some stuff starts happening. I don't want to get into it any more than that, but I thought the film was absolutely fantastic. Scared the crap out of me. Like, something about watching something when you're on a plane where I'm not in the comfort of my own home. And I'm like sitting there, every now and then the plane shakes and everything. And I'm watching this kind of freaky, deaky, slow burn haunted house movie. And it really got me. And she was really good in it. So while there were plenty of sexy pictures of her that I could have autographed, I chose to get a really cool one from We Are Still Here because I just love that role.
Nah, hey, can I suggest a good movie to watch on an airplane? Actually, I could do two. Snakes on a Plane and Final Destination.
I was going to say Final Destination. Which one?
Why not, right? Snakes on a Plane, Final Destination, Red Eye is probably another good one to put on.
Criminally underrated. More people need that to give more love to that movie. It's absolutely awesome.
That's a Wes Craven, isn't it?
Yeah, hidden Wes Craven and a hidden PG-13 rated movie too. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the trick, like with the PG-13 horror, is you just gotta like really ramp up that suspense, if you're not gonna be gory and you're not gonna have nudity, which we don't really get in horror anymore now, do we?
Mm-hmm.
Depends on where you go.
Yeah, true. I guess. Yeah. Speaking of Barbara Crampton, if you watch Suitable Flesh, you're gonna get plenty of.
I just recently watched that. I'm like,
Yeah, I was watching that, and my wife was like, "What the hell are you watching in there?"
It's a horror movie. It's a horror movie.
She's like, is that the one with your girlfriend in it? And I'm like, no.
Mute.
Not at all. Aaron Click confirms we are still here. It's awesome. So does Jamie. Jamie, did you see it in the theater? That's the running joke. Jamie sees everything in the theater. Alley Girl says, I just saw the new one she's in with Heather Graham. It was great. Yeah, that would be suitable flesh. Holy cow. Tyler Adams. I got to work on a movie with Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs.
I have no jealousy at all.
Yeah, man. Jeffrey Combs, what a performer. The guy just, I don't know what it is. No one acts quite like him. You know, there's something about what he brings to a role that's just, I don't know. Like when I watch Reanimator, he cracks me up. You know,
we appreciate
I don't know.
the fact that he's willing to throw shade at any given moment.
Yeah. And he's willing to just like go from 0 to 10 immediately, you know, like he can really turn it on very, very quickly. And I love Reanimator, but I tell you what, like the first few times I watched it, I think I just was watching it by myself. And then when my wife and I started dating, you know, maybe a year into us dating, we put it on and I was like, man, this movie is a lot different when you're watching it with a lady.
There are 2 movies that he's in. I guess you would say stars. And I think it's a big enough role for him to be a star in it. From Beyond is another one that needs a little bit more attention, I think, speaking of nudity, and Barbara Crampton.
Yeah.
And another that I recently watched that I was not really aware of is Frightmare. That really doesn't narrow it down, but look for the one that is supposed to be a bunch of theater kids who bring home the body of one of their favorite old-time actors. That's the one. He's in that.
The body of one of their favorite what's the movie called?
Frightmare. Or
Frightmare.
It was another title. It's one of those with another title. It might also be known as The Actor. So
I don't think I've heard of that one.
It's not
Frightmare.
No, for some reason. Yeah.
Only 2.5 stars. What the heck? All right, this looks interesting. Yeah, and what he was at, I really like him in The Frighteners. He's really funny in that one.
My favorite
as well.
movie.
That is, and so that's that kind of brings me around to another question from Bronson. Bronson, really appreciate the questions, man. I've always liked Michael J. Fox as Stuart Little. What is your favorite Michael J. Fox movie or performance besides Back to the Future?
I think I've already answered that.
Yeah, there you go. How about you, Brett? You got some Michael J. Fox love?
Sorry, I was today 8 years old just when I finally realized that Michael J. Fox was Stuart Little.
Welcome.
Yeah.
I watched that movie all the time as a kid, so that just literally shocks me because that's my last name is Stewart. So hey, I like that mouse. But here, I gotta look up some Michael J. Fox movies here. So one moment.
I really like, there's that like dark comedy movie that he was in. It's an ensemble cast. It's called Greedy, and I think it's what's his face? Gosh, I'm totally blanking on the name. Kirk Douglas, not Michael Douglas, but his dad, Kirk, I think it's this dark comedy about this very, very wealthy old man that's got a bunch of like, you know, sniveling relatives that just can't wait for this guy to die so they can take his money. So he has like this health scare and they all come to the giant mansion and they're all trying to figure out their power play. It's sort of just a dark comedy about everyone getting wrapped up into everything. And I think Michael J. Fox is like, he's not even blood related. He's like an in-law or something like that. Funny dark comedy. I don't want to say anything else because I don't want to spoil any of it. But yeah, Dice, I'd probably go with you with Frighteners if I'm not going with, you know, Marty. I mean, but Marty is just so iconic.
So good. I got my 2 cheat code ones. The first one being, sorry, balloons everywhere. They were in the attic. Atlantis, the Lost Empire, where he's the voiceover for the main character. And then the other one, I didn't know this until now, and this makes me love Michael J. Fox even more, is Homeward Bound. He did both of those movies.
Oh, yeah.
My child.
Yeah, so if you want to cry at the end like a little baby, there you go. So.
Yeah. And I've never seen Atlantis, so maybe that's something I gotta, because that was one of those like Fox animations or DreamWorks animations or something from the mid to late
it was
90s.
Disney, I think.
Yeah, no, it was a
It was
big time
Disney.
Disney movie that most people today want that movie to be a live action movie, and Disney's like, no, we don't care about you. It's like, no, like I'm telling you, if they do that movie now, it will sell in the box office. I guarantee it.
Hell yeah, yeah. Well, and then Big Rod brings up one that we totally missed. Teen Wolf. The first Teen Wolf was great.
Absolutely did not take any of Styles' personality when I was young. Not at all.
Man, the 80s movies, they were just so... What a crazy time to be a little kid and see like the most wild shit on movies. You know, growing up watching stuff like Police Academy and, you know, I mean, when I was a teenager, the first time I saw Porky, so that's a little different. But just, I mean, even movies that are relatively tame, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, still has these characters that just like really stand out. I feel like we don't. I don't know. Maybe it's just that I'm older now and I'm not watching as many like mainstream movies. I just feel like milquetoast characters are a bit more in vogue as of late. You know, other than comic book movies and stuff like that. Jeffrey Combs is evil as fuck in Would You Rather. Ooh, Would You Rather. Hey, that kind of makes me think of playing a little start bench cut. We could close out the show with a little start bench cut. You want to do that? You guys like start bench cut? Okay. Now, folks in the chat, you guys can play along. You could play along by giving your entry for the start bench cut, or you can also pose 3 things that we can go through in a little round robin for start bench cut. So let me grab. I have a nifty little banner. It's gonna blow your mind. Look at that. Oh my gosh, the world is changing right before our eyes. So let's see here. Start bench cut. Let's do start bench cut. Direct horror sequels. Let's go. Freddy's Revenge, Friday the 13th Part 2, and just to bring it back to Dice, Phantasm 2.
So Phantasm 2, Freddy's Dead, and Part 2 for Friday the
Freddy's Revenge.
Oh, okay.
I love the.
Sorry, God, the balloons.
I love the balloons. No, let's do it the whole time.
Sorry, it's it's an iPhone thing. So here you go. There we go.
There it is.
So I'm Pennywise the Dancing Clown. So let's see here. Okay, so Freddy's Revenge. Dang it, Phantasm 2, and then what was the last one? Sorry, one more time.
Freddy's Revenge, Friday Part 2, and Phantasm 2.
Oh, okay. I would cut Phantasm 2 because it's not fair to judge a movie if I haven't seen it. So I'm sorry, cut. I would bench Freddy's Revenge, and then I would start Friday the 13th Part 2.
All right.
I am going to cut Phantasm 2, not for the same reason. I've explained my reasoning in my review. I have problems with that one, but then I'll bench Friday the 13th Part 2, and we'll start Freddy's Revenge. That's my favorite of the franchise.
Nice.
So.
There it is. We got one from Ben Grimm chimes in: space horror, sea horror, woods horror. Start bench cut. I can go first. Ben, I would start woods horror. I would bench space horror, and I'll cut sea horror. Just because Jaws is like the only sea horror movie I can think of that I just absolutely love.
Oh man, I would start sea horror because Deep Blue Sea, Jaws, The Shallows, Bait 3D. I could go on with those. Like, they always entertain me. I would bench space horror because there's so much you could do in space without just repeating in a way. And then woods horror, I haven't seen too much of it, so cut.
Let's see. I'll cut sea horror because it's never been terribly fascinating to me. We'll bench woods horror and start space horror. Space is terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking like Event Horizon, the first Alien movie. You know, those are bangers right
Killer
there.
Clowns from Outer Space.
There you go. Even 2001 has some elements that, you know, make me freaked out about space.
Gravity is a horror film. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. And then let's see here. Big Rod says torture porn, slow burn, or haunting. Start bench cut.
Sorry, I'm not the biggest fan of torture porn, right? Like not like the torture porn. I just don't like that wording of it. Thank you, Saul, for creating that term.
Sure. Yeah.
So Hostile LA Roth.
Yeah. Jeez, Hostile. A movie I wish I never saw. I'm sorry. Is that a hot take?
I don't know. We'll find out.
So let's see here.
I would cut torture porn. I'm gonna start. Well, I love like slow burn haunting movies, so I guess I'll start haunting. I'll bench slow burn.
Yeah, I was gonna say there, Davey. I was like the challenging. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, the Changeling is one of my favorites, and I love those. Yeah, I don't know, something about those haunted house movies that just get me when they do it right.
Mm-hmm. Because I'll easily start haunting. I will bench slow burn, and then just because I hate the word torture porn can get cut.
Yeah,
I think I'll have to third that whole thing.
What? Yeah. So what would you call the genre, Brett?
Anything but torture. So if we could just pull out a thesaurus, if it's just looking for a better word than torture.
So you're good with the porn part of it. You just want the torture.
Yeah, I got no issue with it. No. I don't know at the Rob Top. To me, it's just like I've never liked that. Like that's the best way to describe it. But I feel like there has to be something better than just torture porn, because a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch porn." Wait, this ain't porn. Like,
just be very careful about your keywords.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Big Rod. Like, there we go. Big Rod's got it.
Gorgasm.
There we go. Works.
I think, but even going back to like filmmakers like Fulci, people use that whole like, they kind of describe it in terminology like porno movies, the way he would sort of zoom in on his like money shot moments, somebody like Fulci. Where he'd find the most uncomfortable moment and make you stare at it, and the camera is just zooming in and zoom. So I think that's where that kind of aspect comes from in the torture porn movies, where it's like you're having to watch something very difficult.
It feels exploitative.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just hilarious that Davey used the term money shot.
Well, that's how. That's the way I would think of it when I would watch Fulci movies.
Oh no, because it's a big terminology in the porn industry. So
yeah. If you don't know what money shot is, then what are you doing up this late watching this show?
Then you're too young, and why are you here?
Read the thesaurus, children.
Ask your parents.
All right, and we've got Raymond Malaber says Freaky, Abigail, Lisa Frankenstein.
Damn, this is a tough one.
Ow.
I've only seen one of those movies. So
I'm gonna have to go last on this one. This is gonna take a lot of thinking.
You're just gonna copy dice. That's what this is all about. It's a elaborate ploy. Rat.
Well, that's entirely on you. I was never good in school. I'll cut Abigail begrudgingly. Bench. I'll bench Freaky, and we'll start Lisa Frankenstein.
Nice.
That's my favorite from this year so far.
Oh, nice. And here's the deal, Dice. Don't get mad at me, okay? I'm cutting Lisa Frankenstein, but hear me out. I love all three of the movies, and I think Lisa Frankenstein is going to be a cult classic in 10 years. I really, truly think that. But just against these other two, not right now. But again, that cold following can change my mind. So cut Lisa Frankenstein. I will bench Freaky because that movie is a lot of fun. And then Abigail, just because I thought Melissa Barrera and Dan Stevens were phenomenal in that movie. They really carried it.
All right. And we got Big Rod coming in with Sleepaway Camp, Friday the 13th original, and The Burning.
Just when I thought I answered a hard one.
Here is an even harder one.
Damn you.
All right. I might be able to answer this one semi-easily, actually.
Go for it.
See how many people get upset. We'll cut Friday the 13th. I'm more of a remake person when it comes to that. Bench Sleepaway Camp and start The Burning.
Damn. You can't go wrong with either of these. For me, I'm going to cut Sleepaway Camp, and here's why. I love that movie too, but it's just you're watching that movie only for one scene. While for these other two movies, you really watch it for other stuff. Like, to me, I'm going to cut... Yeah, see, even my screen agrees with me. I'm going to cut... cut Sleepaway Camp. I'm going to bench The Burning because, again, it's the rap scene and everything else is just solid. And then, of course, Friday the 13th original where Tom Savini just his maddening mind of special effects or just the makeup effect and the effects of the blood with the tube. All of it perfection.
Yeah. All right. That's a good one. I would say I'm probably going to... Yeah, I think I'm right there with you, Brett. Cut Sleepaway Camp, bench The Burning, start Friday the 13th, the original. This Friday the 13th, the original was like so low in my ranking until I revisited all of them before I did my ranking, and it climbed up a few spots for sure. Just looking at it like as its own thing, but I do think there's some, it could have worked a hell of a lot better if we just saw Pamela maybe once or twice before she shows up and announces that she's the killer. Yeah, I mean, but The Burning, I need to see it more. I've only watched it once, and I was just sort of, I don't know. I think I was put off by the fact that every guy in that movie was like skeezy as fuck. But
it was the 80s and it was a summer camp. What do you mean?
And not only they just burned a man alive, so.
Yeah. And well, I think the thing with The Burning is I was like, oh, story by Harvey Weinstein. Well, that makes sense.
Who was part of the... Oh.
People have been like, oh, you write what you know. And I'm like, yeah, he was sort of putting himself on blast in a really creepy sort of way. But yeah, the rap scene is amazing. And the effects, I mean, Savini's effects are top-notch all the time. Aaron Click has beets, Brussels sprouts, and lima beans. Start finish cut. Have I ever eaten lima beans? Do people make these things still?
You might have in like mixed vegetables. That's usually where they're cooked, because nobody buys them on their own.
Yeah.
I wish they were fava beans instead.
With a nice Chianti perhaps. Somebody should really try that sometime and tell me what it's like.
Yeah.
Along with the liver. But for me, I'm gonna cut the lima beans because I'm not sure what they are. Brussels sprouts, I've only had one good thing of Brussels sprouts before, so bench that. And then Dwight Schultz, oh my gosh, what's his last name from The Office? Dwight Schrute. Dwight Schrute? Yeah, he would be pissed off at me if I didn't say start beets.
Okay.
I'll cut lima beans because in my experience, even with ranch, it doesn't help. They're just bland. They're bland and they're pasty in a very dry way. I'll bench the beets and start Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, I'm the same with you, Dice. Because Brussels sprouts can be really damn good if they're cooked the right way.
You gotta roast them with some butter or some garlic. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe throw a little like bacon and blue cheese in there, something like that. Now I'm hungry.
They're still healthy because they're vegetables. It's okay.
Yeah. I've covered the vegetables in grease and fat, but they're still good for me, right? Right, Doc? And Big Rod swoops in with Harvey Weinstein is basically the cook from Sleepaway Camp in real life. Oh, that's a funny little connection there with that one.
What are you doing?
This first Friday the 13th is boring. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can't get mad at anyone saying that a slasher movie from the early 80s is boring, right?
No,
we live in a modern age now.
Can't get mad at all there, Ashton.
I mean, I love Prowler, but when I recently rewatched it on Fatchy's channel, I was like, yeah, like this movie has slow moments that could have been poked and prodded along. Sure. I still really love the movie for what it is, and of course, I think some of the best Savini effects as far as the blood pumping is probably the most like realistic. I have to put it in quotes because I don't really know what it looks like, but yeah. I promise, I don't really know what it looks like.
Blood pumping from an artery looks like.
I have no idea what that shit looks like. Let's see here. Aaron says the only one of the three I don't like is beets. They taste like rotted death. See, again, I don't know what rotted death tastes like.
Experience qualifications.
But I've only seen like pickled beets in like salads and stuff. I don't know if I've ever like, see them in any other form. And then we're getting some really hard-hitting questions here. Tyler says, what's the difference between a chickpea and a garbanzo bean? I've never had a garbanzo bean on my face. On my face? A chickpea on my...
Tyler?
Oh, it's a joke, Tyler. But what is the difference? Are they the same thing?
I think one's bigger than the other, and one can be used for hummus.
See, and Aaron got fooled, just like I did, because it was a ploy for me to say chickpea. You got me, Tyler. I love pickles, Nicholas. Spears specifically, please. Right next to my sandwich, little palate cleanser. So good. And pickle juice. I don't know if you all are whiskey drinkers, but man, little bit of pickle juice after some whiskey just clears everything from the palate. They call it a pickleback. It can be dangerous because if you're shooting whiskey, it's basically like a memory eraser. It just takes the memory of that shot out of your mouth, and then you start thinking that you can have another one in like 2 minutes. Dangerous shit.
I just drink pickle juice for no reason.
Hey, it will keep you hydrated in those summer months. You got to have your salts to hold on to everything. Absolutely. Yeah, Raymond chiming in here. Yeah, Tyler, you got us. You got us all. And Ashton says, Brett, I'm not sorry.
Canceled.
And then laughs in your face.
Yeah, canceled. Ashton, in your corner. I'll see you tomorrow.
Well, we're coming up here on, 2 hours. Do you all have anything coming up here? Or you already talked about all of that at the beginning, but let's go over it all again so we can catch everybody up with what you're going with what you've got going. Brett, you're doing your tournament coming up here.
Yep, we go tomorrow live on Good Will Hunting at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, determining we're going to put 32 of Stephen King's movies, like for him being the original writer of it. We're going to take 32 of his best movies, and we'll see from the chat, because the chat will have the opportunity to vote starting around the Sweet 16 round of what they think is the best Stephen King movie of all time. It's just we're going to cut, me, Brad, and our buddy Chris, we're going to cut down the meat of the bracket before we let you all vote. So y'all get like the 16 or 8 best movies to vote on. And then we'll take a week off from the 4th of July week because we're going to be busy of blowing stuff up irresponsibly. And then the following week after that, we'll start our Nightmare on Elm Street watch party series, where we have all watch parties for the Nightmare on Elm Street for about 8 weeks. And then of course Davey will be a special guest on Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warrior. And I'll go ahead and tell you the other special guest to be along with Davey. Davey, I'm not sure if you know this, but this will be your time to know. We're bringing on Brayden Timmons from Fear Freaks along too to watch that with us.
Awesome. Oh yeah, that'll be great. And then Dice, you said you're taking a little bit of a break, but
well, we're getting back onto things now. I'm trying to build up a little bit of a surplus of reviews. I have some that I did record and then realized I had to re-record them because the audio did not work. It didn't work out very well at all. The quality was... So, we fixed the problem. It's all right now. So I'll be re-recording my reviews for Phantasm 3, Late Night with the Devil, The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, and throw in Brain Damage at some point there. And I will be getting some more individual reviews of the rest of Season 1 of Tales from the Crypt up for my patrons.
Oh, sweet.
And a number of other different live streams hopefully will be coming up. There's some watch parties in talks about. And I'll be showing up on some other channels sometime soon. So when that happens, I'll be putting that up in the community tab for everyone to check out.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Guys in the chat, if you have not subbed to Dice's channel or Good Real Hunting, I don't know how you found this channel. I think I see all of y'all usually in the chat over there at Good Real Hunting during the live. So if you're not already subbed to their channels, go ahead and hop on over, give them a sub, dive into that content. That's one of my favorite things about finding somebody new or stumbling on a channel. I just go down that rabbit hole. There, you know, YouTube, there's always something new to find on YouTube. And, you know, plenty of people out there with personalities that you can totally, you know, kind of fall in love with in a sense. And it's like hanging out with a good friend, listening to them tell you all about a movie. I don't like, even if it's a movie I've seen a million times, like I think I enjoy it even more that way, because I'm just like, all right, I can just like listen while I do some chores and you know, hear this person chat about this flick. Really looking forward to those, Dice. And Brett, really looking forward to the Stephen King thing, because you guys, that's sort of like a little niche that y'all have. I know that Brad is really big into reading. You guys talk about the Stephen King movies more than anyone that I've, you know, come across on YouTube. So that'll be really cool to get your guys' perspective, since you know, it seems like y'all are kind of experts there.
Yeah, it would be fun because Brad's a big reader, and our buddy who's going to be joining us tomorrow night, Chris, who's pretty much a part of Good Real Hunting too. He's a reader as well. I'm more of the movie watcher, so bring like all these opinions together for these movies. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I forgot to mention, if you fill out a bracket right before our live stream, you could enter your bracket for a potential $25 gift card.
Boom. Where to? Like an Amazon card?
Yeah, it could be Amazon, it could be Vudu, it could be AMC, it could be your favorite porn store. Okay, I'm just kidding on that last one, but please don't.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah. So if you need a new whip in the bedroom, no, or even a Kroger gift card. If you want a Kroger gift card, like if your bracket is the best bracket, you win. You will win.
Awesome. And so, what are the chances that Brad's gonna get upset with you for having a wild opinion about a movie that completely differs to his opinion on the movie?
And that's why we bring on Chris to break that tiebreaker. So.
And then I'm excited to see, like, I'm like, how much is Brad gonna compare the movies to the books? You know, and get those wires crossed.
That's why I'm looking forward to that tournament, because he and Chris will have that book knowledge while I have like the movie knowledge without knowing the book knowledge, and that way our like just the arguing within that first round or two is going to be entertaining. Once we do that, it kind of persuade the chat who we think we should win, but more importantly, the chat will determine who wins. It'll just be fun to see.
Gotcha. Hell yeah. Yeah, that sounds awesome, man. I'll be tuning in for sure. What time are you guys getting going on that?
8 o'clock Eastern time is we'll do the entirety of that tournament in that one stream.
Okay, perfect. All right. I think I've got a thing I'm gonna hop on tomorrow night, but I'll be able to hop in there with you guys for a little bit. And
hey, at least you can fill out a bracket, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bronson has a review request here for you, Dice. The Vampire and The Shining.
Little Vampire was something I watched a lot when I was a kid, so I'm familiar with that one. Yes.
There you go.
Those I do believe are on my list. So,
and I've heard of this movie called Shining. I don't know much about
some sort of seminal importance in the horror genre. I don't know.
I think Stephen King wrote it. Not number one seed in the tournament, so.
Here's Jimmy.
Wrote it, hated the movie version of it, all that kind of fun stuff. I love that Kubrick was just sort of like, no, I'm not going to do it the way you want me to do it. Like, I'm actually going to do some things the opposite just to piss you off. What a guy. I like that. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us this evening on Late Night with the Davey. It's been awesome having you both on with our first, kind of go round with the new format here of bringing both guests on at one time. Really appreciate everyone for hanging out in the chat. Make sure you go over and sub to Dice's channel and sub over at Good Real Hunting. Put in that bracket for Stephen King's movie so you can win a $25 gift card. Super fun jumping in those live streams over there. You guys are all so great about interacting with the chat and keeping everyone involved. So really love what you all do. Appreciate you coming on and spending a couple hours of your late night with me. And we will look at the balloons. Just
I can't do that. Jazz hands.
I know I can't do it either. I feel so powerless on my own stream. Is it gonna work that? See,
usually that's fireworks, but you know what? I'll end this on love, though. So
there you go. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you coming on again, and can't wait to work together in the future. Maybe get a little collab going with you sometime, Dice and Brett. I'll see you talking some Dream Warriors, watching some Dream Warriors here in just a little bit.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Have a great night, everybody. That's going to do it for this episode of Late Night with the Davey. Really appreciate y'all, you guys in the chat for liking and subscribing, all that kind of fun stuff. You can check out the links in the description below for the merch shop, the Patreon, for Dice's channel and Good Real Hunting's channel, all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, I will be back on, let's see here, Sunday for a live stream. So yeah, guys, until then, I've been and will continue being Davey Deathray. Take care. There we go.